Hello, I'm Cindy Mueller, and welcome to our Zoom Recital weekend for May 2021. This is a group of my students who will perform for each other in a Zoom meeting, and then we are broadcasting this onto our YouTube channels for you to be able to see in a live stream. Before I start, I want to say thank you to all the performers who are with us today. It's been a lot of work to get here, and I appreciate that. Thank you to the parents who supported all this over the past several months and in years in many cases. And thanks to you who are watching us on YouTube. I play each recital, and this time I've decided to do the first movement of a sonata by Mozart. Mozart lived about 250 years ago, and his music is extraordinary and still performed all around the world. When a composer sets out to write a sonata, it's kind of like creating a birthday cake. Usually a birthday cake has 3 layers, and a sonata usually has 3 complete pieces within it. Each of these pieces is called a movement. The first movement in each of the movements has a certain formula that they're supposed to follow. So the formula for the first movement has this name, the Sonata Allegro form. And it has to have a beginning part called the exposition, and that has to have 2 distinct themes or recognizable melodies. The one that Mozart came up with is based on this, which you guys have played a lot of different times. It's a major chord. And he said, what happens if you take the low note, then the middle one, and top, and make a melody? So that's the first theme. And like all good classical composers, he mixes in scales, and he mixes in arpeggios, and chords. So that's the first theme. Then the formula for Sonata Allegro form says you have to have a second theme. So Mozart did an interesting thing. He said, well, what if I take that major chord, but this time let's start at the high note of the chord and see what melody could maybe come up. So that was his second theme, along with more scales, arpeggios, and fancy stuff. The next part of the form is supposed to have all this exciting stuff go on. It's called the development. And in this part, what he does is kind of like an artist who's got all these different paints and colors, and with the parts of the theme and parts of the scales and parts of the arpeggios, he kind of just goes wild and does whatever he wants that's interesting. Mozart found a way to get us to a minor key. So you'll hear that in the development section. And he does this cool thing. He loves to have us play between hands. And so on and so forth. And then the formula for the Sonata Allegro form says, okay, you got to come back and do your first 2 themes again, but in different keys. So this time, we hear the theme, but in F. That's the first theme. And then we hear the second theme, but in C. Another thing that Mozart loved was the trill. So you hear a couple of those too. So it's more fun when you're listening to classical music to know kind of these formulas. And then as you listen, you go, oh, I think that's the first theme. Oh, that's this. Oh, this is the development now. So as I play this first movement of Sonata in C by Mozart, see if you can be a musical detective and hear some of these things. So, interestingly enough, our first performer today is going to play not a sonata, but a sonatina, which means miniature sonata. And in this particular playing, Joshua is going to play all three movements of his piece, Colorful Sonatina. So Joshua Wernecke will play Colorful Sonatina by Nancy Faber. The first movement she gave a title to, Sunshine Yellow. The second movement is Dreamy Sky Blue. And the third movement is Happy Red. So Joshua, you can unmute yourself and play your sonatina. Great job, Joshua. Way to go. So, one thing about when you play an entire sonata, I forgot to mention, it's customary that you don't clap until the third movement is completed. So, nice job with your Sonatina, Joshua. So for our next performer, Carter Wernecke is going to play two pieces by Nancy and Randall Faber. The first is Cossack Ride, and the second is Snowflake Ride. So Snowflake Rag. So you can unmute yourself, Carter, and play your pieces.
Got it.
Are we unmuted?
Great job, Carter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So for our next performer today, we'll hear from Eve Flory. Eve is playing There's Nothing Like a Circus by Nancy Faber and Jennifer MacLean. So Eve, you can unmute yourself and play your piece. Great job, Eve. Thank you, thank you. So for our next performer today, we will hear from Griffin Morris. Griffin is going to play Hurry-Scurry by Vandall. So Griffin, you can unmute yourself and start your piece. Great job, Griffin. Wonderful. Thank you. So for our next performer, we are going to hear from Heath Kallman, and Heath is going to start with an improvisation, which means Heath doesn't know exactly what he's going to play. That's the nature of improvisation, which differs from composition when you always play the same thing. He has given a name to this improvisation. He's calling it I'll Name It Later. After his improvisation, Heath is going to play Ragtag Rag by Schultz. So Heath, you can unmute yourself and take it away. Fantastic, Heath. Yay. It's different every time. That's the fun of improvisation. So now let's hear you play your Ragtag Rag. Nice job. Our next performer is Beckett Kallman. Beckett is going to play The Calico Cat by Helen Marlace, and Simple Gifts, which is a shaker song arranged by Helen Marlace. So Beckett, take it away when you're ready.
No, it's not.
Beautiful, Beckett. So now your second piece, Simple Gifts. Thank you, Beckett. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good job. Our next performer is Enalai Louis Munipirikul, and Louis is going to play Song, Opus 183 by Carl Reinecke, and then Arabesque, Opus 100, number 2 by Johann Friedrich Burgmüller. All right, Louis, start. Wonderful job, Louis. Thank you. Thank you. So that concludes our Zoom recital for this group today. Students, you all played so well. Thank you so much. I know performing can be kind of anxiety producing, so you get to breathe a big sigh of relief. Thank you again for participating. Parents, thank you for not only sharing the music of your children, but allowing us to come into your homes to do so this afternoon. Thank those of you who are watching, and we do hope the next time we're in recital, we are in person, although we have appreciated these Zoom opportunities. Bye-bye.